Never seems to be a dull moment when it comes to Minnesota sports. Whether it's on the gridiron,
in the end zone is a Minnesota touchdown.
On the court,
title number 4 for the Minnesota Lynx dynasty.
On the ice,
with a shot, he scores!
Or on the diamond.
Safe at the plate, and the Twins have just scored twice.
There's always something to chat about.
Whatever people think about that and however they value that, let it be.
If you're looking for fun, informal discussion on all things Minnesota sports, you've found it right here. Presenting Minnesota Sports Chat. And now, your host, Ross Brendel.
Whatever people think or whatever they don't think about my alleged eye incident, let it be. When I find myself in time. No, that's not Let It Be. That's I don't even know what Beatles song is that? How am I blanking on a Beatles song? When I find myself in times of trouble. Oh, it was Let It Be. Jeez. Wow, we're off to a rousing start here on the 105th edition of the soon-to-be award-winning Minnesota Sports Chat. It won't be award-winning in the music industry if I forget the lyrics and the words and the song title of Let It Be. Today's pod will feature none other than Daniel House from Gophers Guru. We'll get rolling with him in just a few moments, talking Vikings, Gopher football, Gopher basketball, maybe a little Gopher hockey too. As we get rolling, a reminder to please rate and review Minnesota Sports Chat on Apple and Spotify. That would be much appreciated. And don't forget, please tell your family and friends all about Minnesota Sports Chat. And if you despise me, I'm not sure why you're listening to the pod, but if you do despise me, let your friends know as well. Maybe they'll despise me, but hey, at least it's a download. Daniel House, NFL, at Daniel House NFL on the Twitter machine. How are you doing, my man?
It's a lovely day. Spring ball's back. Got to watch some practice last week. Get 2 more this week. It's finally here. Vikings started organized team activities today. Football is in the air, Ross. I'm fired up.
And if people are looking for your impressions on the Gopher football squad, gophersguru.com is the place to do that. Well, Daniel, since I have you, and again, it's been forever since I've attended a practice. I typically attend the spring game, and that's about it. But since I have you, we need to dive deep on what your takeaways are from spring practice. What have you seen so far? What are you liking? What are you disliking?
Well, I've only been to one session, so I don't have a large sample size yet, but a few things grab my attention, like Michael Dixon, a safety, has been developing. Last year, he played on a rotational snap basis, but didn't get a full training camp and lead into the season due to injury, but came back. And I watch him practice, and I just see a guy that's got a ton of range, really physical, has developed, gotten stronger. I could see him emerging as someone who makes an impact this season, gets a little bit larger of a role. Maybe they find a way to get 3 safeties on the field with Howden and Newbin and Dixon. There are a lot of possibilities to drop some unique stuff. So I'm expecting Joe Rossi to be, creative with his defensive scheme like he usually is. And then just seeing the secondary with Ryan Stapp from Abilene Christian to transfer, Beanie Bishop transfer from Western Kentucky, both move really well, have the man cover skills that give you some flexibility, maybe to be a little bit more aggressive. I wrote about that in my piece on gophersguru.com, just saying, if you can play more man coverage in 2022, blitz pressure is more of an option versus, you'll mix in some simulated pressure, which is something we talked a lot about on the site, bring in a non-traditional rusher. You're still rushing 4, but you're bringing a linebacker or safety or cornerback from a different spot and dropping a traditional pass rusher. So they'll still have those in there, but I would say, with the secondary talent that they have, there's a lot more options defensively.
Turn my mic on. Howden, Newbin, and Dixon. Do we have a nickname for that?
It sounds like a law office.
It does.
Howden, Newbin, and Dixon.
What about, I don't know, the In Network? Something like that. Everything ends in in. I'm probably
Put me
overthinking
on the
it.
spot. Now I got to think about how you brand the 3 safety package. Like maybe
You
they put in a 3 safety package. I don't know. I'm just totally speculating. But if I was a defensive coach right now, looking at the personnel, I love what they got going on in the secondary. Get all those guys on the field. I would say, Ross, the biggest question mark I have right now, looking at the defense, is what happens at defensive tackle. Chris Smith was originally committed as a transfer from Harvard, flipped to Notre Dame. However, I left practice going, I like what I'm seeing from the defensive tackles, especially a guy like Devin Eastern, who came in here last year and looked really good physically, but I think he's even gotten stronger. Someone who could potentially carve out a rotational role or get a few more snaps. That's the thing that jumps out to me is the pass rushers that they do have at defensive tackle, the edge rush spot, the 5-tech position. They can rotate a lot of guys to generate mismatches up front, which is what you're looking for. So I like where the defensive depth chart is at, and to see some of the things that are possible with the personnel that they have. I can't wait to see what Rossi draws up, because I think it will look different in a positive way, because him and his staff do a great job of adapting to their personnel.
Let's jump to the offensive side of the ball. Late last week, early this week, I can't pinpoint the exact date. We're recording this on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And when did the Bucky Irving news come out? Was that Sunday?
Friday night.
See, every day comes together. Okay, so Bucko, whatever you wanted to call him, he did not like Bucko. I'm convinced he's leaving the U because he got tired of the nickname fiasco. No, I'm not convinced that at all. That's a bad joke. But it does lead me to my question. So Kai Thomas leaves, and I guess I didn't know this until I looked it up this weekend. I don't want to, I don't know what goes into the decision. I don't know everything. But if you're going to leave running back you at the University of Minnesota,
yeah,
I'd probably choose a better college than Kansas to go play college football at. So that's me throwing stones at Kai Thomas.
Yeah.
But for Bucky, why are all the running backs leaving running back you? Is it truly just because they don't believe they're going to get on the field this season?
Here's what I would say. There are a lot of situations with the transfer portal. It's changing the college football landscape. And there are situations where guys are transferring due to personal situations, family matters, mutual decisions between a player and a coach, just saying, hey, I think you should maybe go down a level, or you can get playing time somewhere else, explore it because there's a log jam on the depth chart. Schematic changes matter. I mean, the Gophers are bringing Kirk Shiraka back to run the offense, and maybe there's going to be more passing in the offense this year. And with the veterans that you have ahead of on the running back room, with Mo Ibrahim coming back, who is doing really well in the recovery and is easing his way back. Trey Potts, who is doing some stuff, could work his way back. We'll see what happens. Bryce Williams coming off an injury. You got some guys coming off of injuries, but look like they'll be ready for the season. And then Zach Evans, a player that's true freshman. I came away extremely impressed with this film. In fact, I had him as one of my top players that the Gophers landed in the 2022 recruiting class. So, you look at the landscape of the position group and you wonder how much, schematic decisions or, future schematic moves played a role in it. And then not only that, the depth chart, and every situation has, personal family things going on. The portal will allow people, players across the country to go to a situation that suits them best. And everyone is unique in that sense. There are things going on that people might not know about, or, and that gives the player flexibility. So it's an ever-changing landscape. You benefit from the transfer portal as a recruiting staff, but you're going to lose some players, and that's just part of it. Now you got to learn how to navigate it. It's not easy.
Did it again. Is the studio. Geez, I'm in a new setup today, and it's just got me all frazzled, but I do love it. Don't I sound great on this mic?
Yeah, it sounds really good. It looks great. I love this new setup.
Yeah, I just got to remember to turn the mic on. Is the replacement for Tanner Morgan currently on the roster?
The good news is, watching the quarterbacks, and I wrote about this on gophersguru.com, I saw a lot of mechanical growth from Ethan Kaliakmanis. Just in the short time I was there, obviously I don't have a large sample size, but like to see his throwing motion look a little more compact and efficient and not as long, that's something that I felt he can make the throws at all three levels. We know that, just watching the film and seeing what he can do. It's a matter of the accuracy side of it, the ball placement, and that comes with the mechanical part of it. And then, learning a new system and Shiraka being back now, there was so much hands-on coaching going on with the quarterbacks, the receivers, every position group. But I felt like with the passing game to get, the route depths right, the timing, making sure guys are executing the details between the quarterbacks, the receivers, and, making sure they understand the scheme. So I can't, honestly, Ross, I cannot wait for this season because I feel like Kirk Shiraka's experiences at West Virginia and Penn State, getting some perspective and some time to really dive into what's going on in the college football landscape, NFL level, all those things, there will be some new wrinkles probably in the Gophers offense. I mean, I'm just speculating that will be really good additions and suit the strengths of some of the guys on the team.
Can you say Kaliakmanis for me 7 times fast?
I've been working on that really, really hard. I've been working on I'm trying to get that down because I know over the next 4 years, I'm going to be saying it a lot.
You know what I'm going to go with? Let's just call him Special K.
There you go. There you go. See,
Special K. The safety one, I still don't know what to call the safeties.
I just feel like it's the law office. You got Newman, Howden, and Dixon. We'll see what the fans say. I'm sure they'll have some input after they listen.
Yeah, we'll put it to a poll. Maybe that's what we'll do. One Gopher basketball question for you, and I know, as you alluded to for football, it also translates to basketball. The transfer portal has changed everything, and I know that Ben Johnson is talking to so many more names than we've even heard of, or at least inquiring about doing the back channels, all that fun stuff. I get that. However, I will say this. I'm less than encouraged, less than enthused by some of the names that I see the Gophers attached to, and it has nothing to do with who they are personally, maybe what they have or don't have athletically. I will acknowledge it's a 50,000-foot view of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, you don't need to be going to the Loyola Marylands and the Albanys of the world to fill out your roster. Just go to other schools in the Power 5 that maybe have some talent that didn't get a chance to play. And it doesn't have to, I'm not saying Duke or North Carolina. Go to the Vanderbilts of the world. Go to the Northwesterns of the world. Look for kids like that so you're getting a step up athletically and maybe players that fit the Big Ten just a little bit better. I'm not joking, Daniel House.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on the kid's name, but not to be mean, it doesn't matter a ton to me. I didn't know that Loyola Maryland exists. I didn't know it was a thing. That, to me, that's a problem. We don't, those kids can fill out your roster. Okay, that's fine. And if they're coming here, that's fine. And maybe he really can be a player, whatever his name is, he'll tell me. I'm just saying, by and large, that can't be the pool you're choosing from year in and year out. And I will say this, Ben Johnson got all the benefit of the doubt last year. Don't care what they looked like last year. I saw enough to be encouraged. But if you're going to fill out your roster with the exact same type of players you filled out last year's roster with, don't expect the results to be any different. And if they're not at least incrementally better in year 2, well, then that is on you as a coach. So I would just say set your sights a little bit higher than kids from Albany University and Loyola Maryland when you're digging around the transfer portal. That's what I would say. I'm sure you'll set me correct.
It's a marathon, the transfer portal, casting a wide net and figuring out, talking with a ton of different guys just to figure out who is possibly fit, scouring through the numbers, looking at those, seeing who fits what you're trying to do and has the shooting trait that will be really important. A few things that Ben will probably look for is versatility, shooting,
rebounders,
high assist ratios, those type of things. I'm not reading too much into the early, reaching out to these guys early. Keep an eye on what happens. There's still guys that haven't hit the portal yet. But I also think it is difficult when you're trying to recruit transfers. These guys are looking at the future of the program going, okay, I want to be able to win immediately wherever I go. It's for some guys, it's all about, I want to get more playing time. Others, it's I want to win. So it narrows the pool slightly. However, the Gophers, once they get some of these recruiting classes in and Ben gets the 4-year recruits rolling through the program and maybe they start playing better and you start to see the results and the buy-in there, then I believe the transfer portal becomes a major asset because guys will see what they're building. So yeah, it's a slow process, but we'll see what happens over the next couple of months here.
Any chance that a couple Minnesota boys come home and Dawson Garcia, Kerwin Walton, any chance? What do you hear and what do you surmise around that?
I'm not sure. Dawson Garcia might end up coming back. He hasn't entered the portal yet to get closer to family. Kerwin Walton's minutes got slashed last season, so maybe he explores the possibility of coming back home, but neither have entered the portal yet. Like Isaiah Thompson, a guard from Purdue, is someone that is on the Gophers' radar. Shot 42.5% effect from the 3-point line, 60% effective field goal percentage. Definitely checks the boxes from a metric perspective. They also been in on Nick Honor, a point guard from Clemson. That one, yeah, he doesn't fit from a data perspective as well as I thought. Like low turnover, high assist player, but only shoots 47.6% effective field goal, 32.5% from three, but good facilitator, low turnover player. So, that's someone that they could potentially end up targeting through the portal. And, I don't know. It's early in the game. They're going to cast a wide net, like I said, and they have a core in place with Battle and Enan coming back. Parker Fox didn't do anything. He will be healthy this year. Trayton Thompson, didn't see a lot of him down the stretch. I was actually kind of surprised that he didn't get more minutes as the season wound down just to get him some experience. But, what's he going to look like after an off season in the weight room, gaining more physical strength, which I think is a big step for him. But we'll see. Talk to me again in like a month here about the portal, and we'll kind of have a better idea of where things are heading.
One Vikings question for you, and I'll let you plug Vikings Corner if you'd like to as well. Looking at the Vikings offseason to this point, there could still be some moves to come before the draft, after the draft. I don't know how big they would be, but there'll still be some roster movement between now and training camp, and obviously roster movement during training camp. But to this point, I would say for me, it feels like a lot of the same old, and Vikings leadership, and I lump everybody together. Kwesi and the Spielmans and I guess O'Connell, but he's kind of where I'm going with this question. Mm-hmm. The Vikings better hope that they're right that Mike Zimmer over time forgot how to coach, was a tyrant, and nobody liked him. They better hope that all of that, they haven't said it, but that's basically what they believe, reading the tea leaves and reading behind the lines. They better hope that that's right, because this offseason so far looks no different than anything we've seen in the previous 2 or 3 years. So they better hope that they're right, that they just needed a new, fresh perspective with coaching and a culture change, and all of a sudden that's going to make them the 12-5, 13-4 team. They better hope that they're right on that, because thus far the roster moves to me don't translate to a 12-13 win team.
Here's what I would say. I know people are really worried about the moves looking a lot like they have in the past. But I would say this, as someone who's coming in like Kwesi, he has to make decisions based upon what he can do financially, what the long-term outlook appears right, what it looks like right now. He has to be able to navigate the roster, not just now, but for the future. So, some of the things that they're doing, I feel like they understand that they had talent on the roster, but maybe it wasn't maximized completely from a schematic perspective, especially on the offensive side. So what I would say is this draft is extremely important for this team to be able to take the next step personally, I believe it comes down to nailing this draft and getting instant impact guys at the start of the draft, and then being able to filter in players that maybe the data is high on. They were maybe low production players in college, but they fit your system. You can coach them up and they provide depth. That's been the issue, Ross, with this team, is the depth. They just can't withstand injuries. They don't have the ability to rotate players as the season goes on and have a mix of different skill sets. And that's what stood out to me with the signings that they made. You know, Zadarius Smith, obviously, if he's healthy, can be a very versatile weapon in the scheme. You can create mismatches for him by aligning him in a lot of different spots. Harrison Phillips is a very disruptive player, lots of power, fits the scheme really well up front. I actually really liked that signing. But then you look at the defensive backs, you're going, Nick Hairston, Shannon Sullivan, two players who I feel like are placeholders at this time, where they have familiarity with the scheme, but the draft, they're going to look to address those spots. And if they aren't able to get somebody, those guys can play. But I have a hunch that they'll draft somebody, and then those players will provide meaningful depth. And the same thing can be said about the 3 offensive linemen they brought in. I think Chris Reed's probably the favorite to be the right guard after looking the film over real hard. And Schlattman's played all 3 spots along the offensive line. Jesse Davis has a lot of versatility and work with Chris Cooper. There's familiarity was the key with the signings that they made. So what I would say is be patient here. Let's see how the draft plays out. Let's look at this roster, on May 1st and see what Kawasi was able to do, because his specialty, I believe, will be nailing those late round picks, because that's where his bread and butter is.
Well, and the depth thing, House, is always going to be interesting just based off of the top level talent on this team, like pretty much any other team, but the top level talent getting paid top dollar. And I know they worked on some restructures to help allow for there to be more depth, but the depth, to your point, House, a lot of that comes through the draft too, because those guys that you draft in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds, they need to play a bit on special teams. Some of them need to come in and be rotational guys, and that did not happen for the Vikings last year, and I don't believe that to be necessarily Mike Zimmer's fault, but yet he's the one that had to answer for all the wins and losses. Do you want to end this podcast having a little bit of fun here, Daniel House?
I always want to end it having fun on Minnesota Sports Chat.
I mean, I'm not saying the first 23 minutes or so wasn't fun, but we'll have a lot of fun here in just moments after I tell everybody about my friends at Beans Coffee Company. They are allowing you to support me. That's right. You can support Minnesota Sports Chat and reward yourself with a great cup of coffee. Very easy to do so. Use the promo code SPORTSCHAT, one word, Sports Chat. You'll receive 10% off when you order online at coffeebybeans.com. That is coffeebybeans.com. The great team at Beans Coffee Company, they ship anywhere in the U.S. with free shipping on 3 bags or more. Try I'm going to get the name wrong, but try the Mikado. That is my favorite. It's fantastic. Buy 3 of those, 10% off. Pick and choose. Do whatever you want. You be you. Just make sure you're heading to coffeebybeans.com. For a taste of something different, you need to try Beans Coffee Company. And while you're there checking out all they have to offer, make sure you inquire about fundraising opportunities. Very easy to do so. Learn more, reach out at coffeebybeans.com. Daniel House, we have another football league attempting to start.
Woohoo! Let's go.
And it will start this upcoming Saturday. And there are so many things I love about this league from a comical perspective. I'm just going to highlight a few of them. First one, we have 8 teams. 8 teams from different cities. Doesn't really matter because they're playing all their games in one location. So it doesn't really matter that you got a team from New Jersey. You'll never be able to go see their game unless you travel to Birmingham, Alabama, I believe, is where we're hosting these games.
Mm-hmm.
So that one thing is hilarious to me. We also have a team, and let me see if I can find their names. We have a team called the New Orleans Breakers. Don't necessarily dislike the name. The problem is if the team is never going to actually play in New Orleans, you should have just named them the Orlando Breakers after the team from the show Coach with Craig T. Nelson. When he left Minnesota State and went to the NFL, he coached the Orlando Breakers. So not only are you ripping off a name, you're ripping off a name incorrectly. That is funny to me. The name Maulers. Why does everybody try and come up with a team named the Maulers? Don't name a team the Maulers. That is a telltale sign your team or league is going to fold. It never works.
But aren't these names peak like USFL or
Yeah.
Arena League? The
No.
Gamblers, all these the generals. It just smells like USFL.
Do you have I'm going to read off the names, okay? We have the Michigan Panthers, the New Jersey Generals, the Philadelphia Stars. Which one's this? The Pittsburgh Maulers, the Birmingham Stallions, who will be the only team with a home field advantage, the Houston Gamblers, the New Orleans Breakers, and the Tampa Bay Bandits. House, I asked you when we were prepping for this via the Twitter machine, was literally how we prepped for this one on Twitter DMs. I asked you to predict who is your favorite to win the league. And I honestly, House, I'm not joking. This is not a bit.
Okay.
I tried to come up with a team that I thought could win this league. And I can't come up with a team because the quarterbacks are awful. One team drafted Shea Patterson to be their quarterback, or one of the two on their roster. If you are trying to launch a league and Shea Patterson, a guy who was not a good college quarterback, is one of your two quarterbacks, this league is not worth your time on a Saturday night.
Here's the thing, Ross. The quarterback play is obviously important, but every one of these leagues that has tried to launch, the biggest issue with them is they do not have good offensive line talent. And the D lines dominate the games. The quarterbacks are already holding onto the ball too long because they can't process, and receivers maybe aren't good at getting separation because they're not a top-tier receiver. So I look at these teams. I went through, Ross, if you knew how much time I did going through these rosters and looking at guys that I had either watched at Vikings training camp for like 5 years ago, or players that through the pre-draft process that I remember. I went through and judged by offensive line talent and overall roster, skill player groupings. My favorite team right now is the Tampa Bay Bandits. Jordan Ta'amo, quarterback, O-line looks the best of all of them, I would say. That's what I'm basing my decision off of. The one thing I do have, I can't knock USFL all the whole way. I actually like some of the rule things they're doing, like the 3-point try, 1, 2, or 3. Intriguing. Let's see how it goes. You got the onside kick alternative. The one that's weird to me is the clock stoppage. Like after first down during the final 2 minutes of the second quarter and the end of the game in the fourth, they're stopping the clock after a first down. So it could create some more drama. I don't know, but it's something that I'm interested in seeing. The rule changes are outstanding. I wish, here's my wish as a football fan, that they would implement these rules and make them mirror in the CFL, because the CFL to me is the second tier developmental. There's a lot more talent in that league than there is these ones that they're trying to launch.
Well, a part of that reason, House, and I told you this would come up, is to me, there's a couple different reasons. One, the CFL always has the best quarterbacks not in the NFL. And I haven't quite looked at what the USFL is paying players, but you can make a decent living in the CFL. Not nearly what you're making in the NFL. I think Nick Caleros, who is the quarterback for Winnipeg, he just helped lead Winnipeg to their second Grey Cup in a row. I think he's going to make almost $700,000 next year. Okay, compared to the NFL, not great money, but a definite livable wage. I got a feeling Shea Patterson and Paxton Lynch, yes, Paxton Lynch, that one who is on the same roster as Shea Patterson, I don't think they'll be making $700,000 this year. And to me, if you want to have a good quality of play, well, you got to pay some of these guys to not be in Canada and come participate in this league.
Jordan Ta'amu, champion. Jordan Ta'amu.
Are there any Gophers we should be aware of? I didn't scan the list that in depth. There's got to be a Gopher or two, right?
Donnell Green is the only Gopher that I believe is in the USFL at this point. So Donnell Green, man, USFL, watch for him. I'm trying to remember which team he's on. I think it's New Orleans.
Truth be told, we've already put more into this topic than I thought, but I knew much like here's the thing. I say it's not worth your time on a Saturday night. I guarantee you if I'm around and there's nothing else on, I'm going to flip this on at times. So yeah, football's king. It always is. But again, I've talked with a couple people who have, cover the CFL or have some form of their hands in the CFL. If you want to watch football that's not the NFL, the only league that's worth watching to me is the CFL. It's a good product. Yeah. It's different, but it's a good product.
See, me and you are similar in that sense. We talk about the CFL when we're out golfing or doing something. That we're CFL watchers.
Go Bombers, baby.
Go Bombers. All right.
Your final question, and this one pains me just a little bit, but it felt inevitable. I was texting you leading up to the game. I did believe Minnesota State Mankato was going to beat Minnesota.
Yeah,
they did. The only thing that surprised me was how dominant it was. I thought the Gophers should have been a bit more prepared from the standpoint of they were dominated by Minnesota State Mankato the year prior in the NCAA tournament. So not shocked or disappointed that they lost, more just surprised by how they lost. Overall, I feel like Gopher hockey is in a really good place and only getting better. And to a degree, I feel bad for Minnesota State, Mankato fans, Mankato State. I always forget what we're calling it these days. I think it's Minnesota State. But I also don't feel all that bad because I do believe if Minnesota had beaten Minnesota State, I can't imagine many Minnesota State fans would be cheering for the Gophers. So I overall, I was like 55, 60% cheering for them, but I wasn't disappointed to see Denver win. A team that, by the way, nobody ever thinks of Denver as a powerhouse, and all they do is win hockey national championships. I think they're up to 9.
Yeah, they're number 9 now. Number 9. It's unbelievable. You wouldn't guess it. They're a quiet top team in college hockey and Natties.
And they're not even there every year. That's the crazy part. They just cash in when they get there. So the bigger question, had the Gopher hockey team won the Natty last Saturday night, what would the celebration have looked like in Barron, Wisconsin with Daniel House? Would he have been burning trash cans on Main Street Barron? What would he have been doing celebrating a national championship, knowing that the last time the Maroon and Gold brought home an NCAA hockey national championship, Daniel House was all of 6 years old, sources tell me.
6 years old. I'm not a hockey connoisseur by any means, but I enjoy watching Gopher hockey. I've gotten more into it over the years going to school. But the fun fact about me is I've never been to a live college hockey game. So I definitely got to change that. And I would say, here's my elite hockey take. I don't think the Gophers shoot the puck enough. I think they pass the puck too much. And when I watched Denver and Minnesota State, I said, look at all these rebounds that Denver's getting against Minnesota State. Gophers make one too many passes. I don't take my word. I'm not an elite hockey mind. I'm far from it, but that's just my take.
Well,
casual.
Ironically, that is typically one thing that anybody will say. You go to a hockey game, people yell, shoot, shoot. That was a part of the problem on Thursday night against Minnesota State. And I think a part of it was, I think Dryden McKay got in their heads a little bit. Everybody knew he was going to win the Hobie Baker Award. And I think maybe they were just getting too cute looking for the perfect shot, where you had Denver, who, didn't really play great for the first 2 periods on Saturday night. But man, when they got down 1-0, well, they were down 1-0 heading into the third period, but when they realized it's now or never, and they just started peppering the net, funny what can happen when you just put pucks on net. Sounded a lot like Jacques Lemaire there. Pucks. Hockey.
Yeah, that's a throwback, man. Jacques Lemaire.
That's all I got for you, Housey. You got anything else?
I don't. I'll be putting out spring practice write-ups on gophersguru.com. So check it out. $5 a month gets you full access to the site. Big breakdown archive. It's unbelievable. I looking the other day going, man, hundreds of breakdowns on here now. So you can get access to all of those and look at some of the studies that I've done over the years.
You're going to be at the spring game, correct?
I will be at the spring game, closely monitoring day 3 of the NFL draft, which is the same day as the
Yes, sir.
game. So it is a football day for me. I look forward to it. I just hope the weather gets better. So the spring games may be 60 and sunny, but tomorrow indoor practice.
It's either going to be canceled or it's going to be a rainstorm. They'll never have a great.
Here's the thing:
great spring practice or spring game anymore.
Move the spring game to later. They did it last year because of COVID and all that. Everything got pushed into a different direction schedule wise, but they did it late again. And he had so much trouble with that spring game getting moved inside, or they had to play it a day earlier. All this stuff. I'm hopeful that they can get 60 and sunny.
Yeah, doubtful. I just don't. I just don't. Until there's a beautiful day at a spring game again, I don't believe it. He's had one nice day at a spring game. It was his first year here.
No, last year was good.
Was last year nice?
Yeah.
Well, why didn't I go last year? What was my issue last year?
I don't know, man. It was NFL draft day.
Oh, was it not? Was it not open to the public last year? Could that have been it?
No, I believe. Yeah, I was open to the public last year.
Huh. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to do some investigative reporting on myself. Or did I go to last year's spring game and I don't even remember it? That might be a bigger problem if that's true. All right, Daniel, gophersguru.com at Daniel House NFL on the Twitter machine, correct?
At Daniel House NFL. Check it out.
All right, we'll talk to Daniel again real soon. We tend to check in with him every few weeks or so. That's going to do it for edition number 105 of the soon-to-be award-winning Minnesota Sports Chat. A reminder, coffeebybeans.com. Use that promo code SportsChat. Get yourself some great coffee and support me. Please use that promo code, if for nothing else, to save a little bit of money and try some great coffee. For Daniel House, I'm Ross Brendel saying thank you so much for listening. We'll talk again real soon.